So I'm just wondering, first of all, how long has it been since most of the athletes have been in the pool?
Well, we were just talking about this, and Michael just calculated it for us, and it's been 325 days since they've last competed. But in terms of practice, we started at the end of September.
Okay. And so what have they been doing sort of in the meantime? Like I know swimming is a little bit of a different one because it, requires a certain facility. So like what have they been able to do in the off season?
Um, so after we were shut down, obviously they weren't able to use the pool, and it really kind of depended on where they lived to see, in regards to how much access they had to a pool or a facility, which in March and April was obviously not very much for anybody. Um, some of them were able to work out in a gym, some of them were able to run or bike. But in terms of being in a pool, they really weren't able to do that much until we came back until September.
Okay. And how do you think that might impact like the season or performance?
Um, we got them going pretty quickly once we came back to the pool. I think there was still a lot of uncertainty in regards to if we were going to be able to compete at all second semester, but we were ready to go if we were able to, and we trained them accordingly so that if they gave us the green light that we could just hit the ground running. So in terms of practice, it didn't really change very much on what we would do in a normal year. Starting in September, both training in the pool and then Sarah on the boards with diving, we ran practice just pretty much as we normally would. We just talked a lot about being patient with ourselves, one step at a time, getting better than we were the day before. And now, especially with being able to compete, we've really started to see a lot of progress.
Okay, good. Um, and how kind of does this sport is it going to look a little different the way it operates and stuff this next season?
Yeah, so for our meets, obviously that are coming up here in September, there's no fans, and we have to run the logistics a little bit different because we can only have a certain number of people on deck and things like that. But in terms of the actual racing and the competing that they're doing, I expect that to look very similar to it has in the past, and we'll just have to make sure that we are bringing a lot of energy on deck because obviously it's going to be a little bit quieter.
Mhm. And what was kind of your reaction when kind of found out that you would be able to do the season?
Yeah, I think we were all pretty excited. We knew that it could really go either way. And so it was a pleasant surprise to hear that we would be able to compete second semester. It's conference only, but we have a really strong conference. And so I think we're going to have some really great dual meets coming up here in February and March.
Okay. And what meets are you looking forward to in particular?
We're looking forward to all of them. We only get four,
Oh,
so we are excited to compete in all four of them. We're still waiting to hear a decision on NCAA's, but we are excited for all four of our dual meets, and we are prepared to do very well in all four of those.
okay, great. Um, are you nervous or excited for the start of the season?
I'm excited for the start of the season. I think they are well prepared. They are excited to race. Like I said, it's been 325 days since we've last been able to compete. So we're excited to get going and watch their hard work and what they've put into these last couple of months without being able to compete pay off in these last 4 weekends.
Okay. And what is sort of being done at like practice and meets to sort of prevent the spread of COVID?
Yeah, so we have dramatically reduced the number of people that are allowed to be in each lane. So we've had to add additional practices every day. We have a big team, so we can't run everybody through just a 2-hour practice. We have 4 different practices going on, 3 swimming and 1 diving. They have to wear masks when they're not in the water. So as soon as they get out of the water, they put their mask on. They're not able to, gather for our team cheer at meets. They're not able to gather outside of the pool. And so anytime that they're not in the water, they have a mask on immediately. So when they will be competing, for example, those that are cheering on the side of the pool deck or are spaced out in the stands will also be masked while not competing.
Okay. I have a couple questions for Michael.
Before we get to the swimmers, Annie, let me just ask this question. Without having a WIAC championship this year, has your approach with your swimmers as far as who swims when or overall message to the team, has that changed from years past?
It's definitely different not having a WIAC championship, and it was certainly a bummer to find out that we would not. But I think the silver lining of that is that, normally we have to cut our team down. We can bring 18 men and 18 women. And now this year we get to finish as a team. Everybody gets to go, everybody gets to compete, everybody gets to taper and swim fast for our last dual meet. So I think that has been, like I said, a silver lining to the news that we weren't able to do it. And the uncertainty around that with NCAAs that still kind of hangs in the balance is normally conferences where we would qualify our athletes for that. And now we have to shift our focus just a little bit on how we're going to do that to get our athletes qualified, should there be an NCAA. But I think if that was the case, we would be pretty excited about it and would be happy to shift our focus and towards that goal.
Awesome. Thank you. Miles, if you want to go ahead, you can talk to Michael and Sarah.
Okay. So Michael, just with the fact of the team kind of being split up a little bit in practices and stuff, how do you feel about the team aspect in general? Do you think there's going to be something missing from this experience?
Well, it seems like that our team has done a really good job about following the COVID regulations and really coming together as a team this year. It's a little difficult with everybody being divided. A lot of the freshmen haven't interacted with some of the seniors, but as a whole, our team is just as close as we've ever been. And we've been practicing as fast, if not faster than we ever have. So it's really exciting.
Okay. And how did you feel when your sport couldn't continue in full capacity last fall? And what has the team sort of done to sort of cope with it, I suppose?
Well, last fall, you say?
Yeah, this past fall. Yeah.
This past fall. The transition between last year and this year has been very similar. It's just smaller practice sizes, and it really has felt the same. The only thing that's missing is the competitions every week. Mm-hmm. That's not that big of a deal.
So you were okay with the non-competitive part?
Yeah, we did lose a few teammates this year, but overall, the people that stuck with it have really been determined to prove themselves once we do get to start competing again.
Okay. And what was your reaction, I suppose, to being able to compete again? Are you excited for it? Nervous?
It was, I'm really excited. I cannot wait for this weekend, but it was kind of a wild year, for every sport. You started off the year oh, we're going to get to compete. And then it was no, you can't. And it was just kind of a roller coaster of emotions that ultimately ended up with us being able to compete, thankfully. And so we're all just excited to have these 4 dual meets.
Okay, I do have a couple questions for Sarah as well. Sarah, thinking back to this past fall, was there anything that was kind of hard about, did you like miss the competitive scene? Was the team kind of bummed out about it?
Well, I think mainly the senior was really bummed about not having meets in the beginning. But the dive team is mainly freshmen, so I think they were just excited to have like the chance to practice and meet new people. But yeah, I think altogether the dive team was just okay with it because we could focus on certain things instead of being focused on the meets. Like we could focus on our dives.
Mhm. So how do you think the fall maybe might have helped your diving skills and abilities?
Well, like I said, we were always focused on the meets, so we were really practicing for the meets and we were trying to perfect our dives before each weekend, where now I guess we kind of have more time to focus on each dive and really go back to the basics and look at what we want to fix about each one instead of just getting ready for the meet.
Mhm. What hopes do you have for this season while it's kind of short?
I just hope to finish strong and take advantage of the meets that we have and have fun.
Okay.